Here is how Thomas Muller redefined how we think about the game. Thomas Muller's trophy cabinet tells the story of one of Germany's most successful players ever. 13 Bundesliga titles, 2 Champions Leagues and a World Cup, plus 248 goals in 751 games for Bayern Munich and 45 goals in 131 appearances for Germany. At the 2010 World Cup, he even won the Golden Boot with 5 goals, including those 2 strikes against England. 4 years later in Brazil, he claimed the Silver Boot as Germany lifted the trophy. Here's the puzzle. Muller achieved all of this despite lacking the attributes we normally associate with a great player. He's not particularly fast, doesn't win many headers, and can't dribble past defenders. Muller admits himself he's saying that he's not a good dribbler and that in one-on-one situations are not his strongest suit. Yet somehow this player who averaged a goal every 3 games managed to be the top scorer at one World Cup and second highest at another World Cup. His success forced people to question whether our traditional ways of thinking about the game positions were actually useful. In 2011, Muller gave his own answer to this puzzle. He called himself a Raumdeiter, someone who interprets space. The word was cleverly constructed. Muller took the German word Traumdeiter, which means dream interpreter, and swapped Traum, dream, for Raum, meaning space. And this wasn't just wordplay. Dreams are about illusions, but space is concrete and real. Muller was saying that he deals with what's actually happening on the pitch, reading the game's spatial relationship and communicating through his movement and positioning. The term caught on so well that it's now in the Football Manager video game as an actual playing style. You can see the space interpretation in most of his important goals. His opening goal against Brazil in the infamous 7-1 semi-final came from a perfectly coordinated movement with Miroslav Klose. As Muller explained later, they switched positions to confuse the Brazilian defenders. What looked like an individual brilliance was actually collective intelligence. Muller's approach connected to ideas that had been developed in German football for decades. While other countries focused on pressing and pace, German football emphasized player movement and understanding space. Muller represented the peak of this philosophy. His 2014 World Cup performance proved this approach could work at the highest level. After scoring that first goal against Brazil, Muller orchestrated the chaos as the host fell apart. His spatial intelligence was on full display, finding gaps everywhere and helping teammates carve through a defense that had no answers to Germany's movements. The 2010 World Cup was equally impressive but different. Those 5 goals in South Africa, remarkably his only international goals that year, came from a player who seemed to appear from nowhere in crucial moments. Against England, his 2 goals killed off any hope of a comeback. Each time he was exactly where he needed to be to score. While Muller has accumulated trophies and changing the tactical thinking, he was also doing something different culturally. At a time when footballers were becoming increasingly image conscious, Muller stayed deliberately ordinary. He married a local dressage rider, kept his unremarkable haircut, and avoided tattoos. This ordinariness was actually radical. After scoring those goals against England in 2010, he used his moment in the spotlight to wave at his grandparents, not to build his brand. Even his humor worked differently. When he called Lewandowski Robert Lewandowski, some people think he was making fun of how silly football banter usually is. But Muller's career shows how tactical intelligence can be as valuable as traditional skills. His ability to adapt to different coaching styles while maintaining effectiveness was remarkable. Whether playing under Van Gaal's direct approach or Guardiola's possession-based system, he found ways to impact games. His 13 Bundesliga titles represent sustained excellence across different eras of Bayern Munich. As the team evolved around him, Muller reinvented his role from direct goal threat to creative force while maintaining his productivity. His Champions League victories in 2013 and 2020 showed this adaptability worked at the highest level. The key insight was the spatial awareness that could transcend tactical systems. While other players might struggle when approaches changed, Muller's intelligence allowed him to find value regardless of the framework. This helped establish acceptance of fluid positions and roles that are now common in modern football. Muller consistently points out that his success comes from team play. When people marvel at how he finds space in crowded penalty areas, he explains that it usually involves coordinated movements with teammates. He compares it to basketball, while several players work together to create a shooting opportunity for one. This perspective challenges how we usually talk about football, which focuses heavily on individual stars. Muller's analysis of his own goals reveals complex chain of movements involving multiple stars. His space interpretation only works because teammates understand their roles in creating space. Muller's career gives us a framework for understanding players who don't fit traditional molds. His success shows that effectiveness can come from intelligence and positioning rather than the obvious physical gifts. Traditional scouting focuses on things that you can measure easily: speed, strength, technical ability. But Muller's example suggests that spatial awareness and game intelligence might be undervalued. The Raumdeiter concept gives us a language to describe these abilities. Instead of just treating spatial intelligence as just natural talent, Muller's Muller's approach suggests that it can be understood and possibly taught through careful studying of positioning and movement. By explaining his role as a space interpreter, Muller gave football new ways to understand position, intelligence and effectiveness. His contribution wasn't just 13 Bundesliga titles, 2 Champions Leagues and a World Cup, it was how he expanded the way we think about the football game itself. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to support me making more content. Thank you.